Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Basics American Truck Simulator. Trying to make our way to Missouri, as we talked about, and this is really kind of the best job I've got. So that while there are several that are out of Montrose, a lot go back to or go to New Mexico, Arizona, whatever. Kind of not totally in the direction we want to go. So we're going to take these glass racks to Lamar. So again, we've got our trailer. We're here in this area. We've got to go to, I think, Napa Auto Parts. Okay, looks like I can pull out of here. There's a trailer next to me there. So, a few things. First one is probably those who have regularly watched were like, oh, he missed a day. He missed the time frame because the thought would have been, well, the last trucking episode was the 3rd, was Euro Truck, so on the 7th we should have another one, an American Truck Simulator episode in that case. And that would be true given kind of what I had been doing. But what I decided is I didn't want to take away from the work being done with the NASCAR series in Walker Transport that shows up every Saturday. And so at this point, if there is a conflict, I'm not going to put 2 videos out on Saturday in most cases. I mean, I may throw other things, but I'm not going to put Truck Simulator ones out there. Again, kind of something that's a staple and probably has earned a following of some people on the channel. So that is why you didn't see anything on the 7th. It was intentional, not a timing thing. It was fortuitous. It looked like a tire shrapnel on the side too. There was some shadow, but so that's kind of cool because sometimes that'll happen. The tires will shred up, and you usually see it on the interstate. You don't usually see it in a town or on city streets, probably because somebody who has it laying in front of their house probably picks it up pretty quick and gets it replaced. So that is that situation. So if there's ever, if it ever falls on a Saturday for the next little bit, and maybe forever, I don't know, because I may, once the NASCAR series ends, I may throw something else in there. There's definitely a lot of things. Walker Air Transport, I don't know, they put out 20 new tours or something in the last month. Was kind of crazy. So I could probably fly for the next 4 years just on those. And then I have so many others that are in existence. So that's the one thing I really liked about Walker, is it's not just, commercial flights here, there, whatever, pick things randomly. I can really just do tours and keep myself busy there infinitely. So the other thing is they've been teasing some things about 155. So one of them is the Freightliner Cascadia updates, which is the truck I drive. So that always catches my eye a little more. But, any vehicle updates is nice. Nothing about Road Trip that I've seen yet. So not sure anything's coming with that. Or maybe it's implied that since they brought it up before, it's going to appear then or not, but maybe Road Trip is a little bit later than 1.55. The other thing, load-wise, they're doing some updates to farm machinery, which I believe was a DLC you had to purchase, which I do have. And so I think it's just going to be kind of included with just extra things that could come up as loads to transport. So there is that. But the big news is they have announced the next state, and it is just South Dakota. I say that not in any poor way, whatever. I mean, I had been holding out a little bit of hope that they might do both Dakotas together. The fact that they have not is understandable. They're still 2 states. They're not 2 tiny states. So there was someone that made a note. I looked through the comments and so forth, and there was someone that had made a note or something about, let's see if the complainers who said they skipped the Dakotas come back, and there's going to be people complaining that they're not doing both together. I'm not going to do that again. I was hoping for it, just for some faster progress, but either way, South Dakota is coming. We kind of knew that from the teaser they put out, but I had indicated, well, the map that they show says Dakota Territory, so hey, nobody's bringing up the fact that it could be both states, but it is not. So, not sure which one is going to show up as far as the next state that will be released. I'm thinking Louisiana is likely going to be what's coming out, but I'm trying to remember. I think it's like I'm losing track of what is done and what is not done. I think Iowa's still coming. Okay, where is this? Must be the next road and then off to the side, because I'm like, this does not look like I can get in there specifically, but okay. So they have it like in the back somewhere. Well, not entirely in the back, I guess. Alright, so a little bit blind again in this series. I try to stay in the cab. I'll get out and look, but I'll stop and basically be like, oh, I've gotten out of the truck and I'm looking that way. Alright, so I don't want to cut too hard. Just so hard to tell if you're lined up or not. I'm just letting this swing. I'm thinking I'm not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not. Nope, can see him. But I'm in a better position now. So, alright, so we will go the other way. Yeah, I definitely had an appreciation for some of the challenges of maneuvering. We had, like I said, we moved. If you've been following the channel at any point, and they had a full 53-foot dry van that they came with. We didn't have all of that. I've done that before when I had a bunch of kids in the house and whatever, but with just my wife and I moving, we only used about half the truck, but they still transported on that because they had another load that they were getting in and so forth. Alright, so I'm going to go this way now so that we fully have the visual. But the streets we're on are pretty narrow. So yeah, he got in okay, but he had a heck of some fun trying to get out. And I use fun tongue-in-cheek, but he had to go back and forth, I don't know, 4 times once he finally got the trailer around the corner, just to then be able to get the tractor out and down the road again. So I do see some of the challenges they face for sure. I saw that firsthand in front of my home. So it's exactly this kind of stuff, like, you're moving tiny amounts just to, come on. Alright, that should work. There we go. Alright, so I am going to set that view a little bit better so that hopefully next time we're in good shape. Alright, and we've got 349, so we're going to reset. And again, we've got glass racks, so that is what those look like. I don't know that I've ever transported these before. So I am a little torn with the trailer versus just hauling a big variety of things. I mean, we're certainly getting different things.
Turn left.
See, I was thinking I was wrong. Alright, Domino's Pizza. Hopefully that bus will be nice to us. But we'll pull in the left lane because we have enough room to do that. Now
Keep
we'll move
left.
over. Whoop,
And then
okay.
turn left.
I'm just way off today. All my guesses
Turn
are
left.
wrong. So yeah, trying to get into the swing of things after moving, of just kind of getting into a flow again. There's certainly been enough kind of odd jobs here and there to get done that they chew up time during the day. You know, that's kind of what I was talking about with don't know how real life will pan out. You know, luckily nothing unexpected has happened. You know, like I said, the worst case thing would be suddenly I've moved and something happens with my job, and that would throw a massive monkey wrench into things. But definitely starting to be aware that just because of the reality of the fact that you know, my wife's got to get things reestablished and so forth, and that may take a few years. We've got to watch the cash flow a lot more than we had, and that will likely mean just kind of sticking with what I have, and maybe not as much new coming to anything. Although, you know, I'm still going to try to, you know, keep getting airports for Tower Simulator, especially now to use with
left.
Tower Companion.
And then turn left.
But just a lot more discerning of what I'm spending funds on,
Turn
because
left.
I think things are going to become a lot more challenging for the foreseeable future. You know, and probably more in line with what most folks have to deal with. We've just been blessed that we've had an abundance for a while because we lived pretty frugally, and you know, we had, you know, 2 solid incomes coming in, and now basically we're down to really one. So there is that. So, but what that's, I think, created in a lot of cases is just trying to figure out what I want to focus on, what I want to work on. You know, because I'm going to try, and it's possible that things will get tight enough that I'm going to have to rethink things like, you know, Navigraph subscriptions and things like that. I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know. So we'll see how things all piece together. Because the reality is, right now, you know, we do have a situation where there's probably a little bit more on the expense side than we had. And while we had a cushion, I don't know that we had enough of a cushion. But you know, now that there are currently, with what we've decided to do to help out our adult kids and stuff, there's 2 homes in play now, and that kind of adds some expenses, and that we've got lawn mowing in both. I was debating picking it up here, but the yard's got some challenges, and so I'm just not sure that I want to do that, because it would honestly require me buying a pretty big riding lawnmower, just because more of the steepness of part of the yard than the fact that I need a wide width. But you know, we're talking thousands and thousands. You know, probably in the $4,000 to $6,000 range. And while yes, in 2 or 3 years, that's probably how much I'll end up paying a service to do the work. You know, I then don't have the maintenance. I don't have the cost of the fuel, things like that. Because they actually had a tire break off the rear axle. I mean, the axle just snapped, I guess, is what they told me, because they had to leave the lawnmower in the yard for a few days when we were here in March, and they said that it was a brand new mower. It still had less than 800 hours on it, which for a a mowing service is not much if you think about it. If you're mowing all day, every day, are you getting 40 hours a week on your mower? Maybe not. But for the ease of calculating, that's 20 weeks. That's less than half a year, and that's the thing. Realistically, it probably still is 6 months of use. So if that's happening to them, I can't even imagine what the expense of that would be. They had to have someone come pick the thing up. Yes, the repair was covered under warranty, but then when something like that happens not under warranty, then what? So, and I think it's like anything, just like you buy a $80,000 vehicle, and again, I'm dating myself, but that was like, ooh, you're buying a Porsche for, right now I'm sure they're all over 100,000. It's not okay. That is a really bad place for a breakdown on the bridge, narrowing the roadway, but we made it through. So anyway, that's the logic, but that, creates several thousand of additional expense with the offset of less inflow. So we're just trying to navigate all that. So see how things go over the next probably few years, honestly. But as I said, we knew things would kind of slow down, but we're kind of in that weird bubble where we're at is kind of this is when we'd be retired, but we're not yet retired. And with that is coming additional expenditures that would be gone when we are retired. But things haven't changed that way, that much. Like if we were keeping our same income or whatever, it would be super simple. But that's not the reality right now, and may not be, because we're kind of preying on things and letting things kind of get led where we should be in the community and what we should be doing. So again, more of a sim channel here versus a life coach channel, this, that, or whatever. So we'll leave it at that for this, because getting into that is more philosophy of life and this, that, and whatever, and probably very few viewers are interested in that. I'm sure there's a handful that are like, oh yeah, love to hear your thoughts on this, that, whatever, but I should usually share more than probably most people are sharing, so we shall see. But anyway, was this the discovered roadway we did? I guess it is. I didn't realize we were coming back through this area, but obviously we have all that fleshed out there. So that was one of those hidden roadways that we came across the one time when we were here, and then went and explored. I couldn't even tell you what episode that was in, but you can see we had some fun out there. So clearly we're in Colorado, so you can go look for the Colorado episodes, I suppose, through the playlist. And I'm sure I used it in the name of the episode or something. So vaguely remember that I might have even used it in the thumbnail, so I don't know. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm going way too fast for these mountain roads. So we'll see. This is really nice scenery. And I've driven through this area of the country many times. It is stunning. Alright, nowhere near. Why is my turn signal on? Because I'm me. That's why, because that's what I do. I turn it on and then I forget about it. So, I don't know why. I reset my beam tracker. I'm barely turning my head, but it's looking out the... that's partially how I have it calibrated, so I don't have to turn much when I back up, but as sharp as these turns are, it's a little abnormal for what we're normally dealing with. But yeah, we're only 100 miles in on 391 miles, so. And I know the whole way is not going to be this way, but it's definitely taking a bit of time here. It's like a logging road up there, I think. Working on that in this area. Runaway truck ramp. Those are also something you get to see and learn about if you're in the mountains, and especially if you're a truck driver. But you see them obviously in a regular vehicle. I've never seen a regular vehicle use it. I honestly don't even know. I mean, I assume it would work, but it might destroy your car. But I suppose if you really are having a problem, you'd rather that happen than you die because you hit something much more difficult, and then, okay, great, you have a car repair, but hey, you're there to deal with it. All right, so we're here out of the mountains into a bit of a plateau, but yeah, we may have fully crossed at this point, and now we'll be kind of heading into the Great Plains area, so a little bit of the foothills. I assume I'm gonna have to turn because we aren't going anywhere new. So I'm gonna go this way, and even if I don't have to
Keep
turn,
left.
okay,
And then turn left.
I do have to look. It's yellow, of course.
Turn left.
Man, that is a long line in the right lane. So, alright, well, we are here. Looks like, is it an RV? I would say that's RV sales. That looks too, well, maybe it is a campground. They just look really close together, but again, they may not model it quite that way, because otherwise, if they spread things out, the amount of land they have available for that, they might get 3 trailers in there, so they're like, well... So, but yeah, this is the first episode that I am recording after we have moved in the truck series. So not in anything. I've done other things with the golf and flight and this, but truck-wise, I had through the 3rd, was done before I moved because I knew that would be pretty rough to get something out for the 3rd. So we had that complete, and then I thought, oh, the 7th, and I was kind of getting ready to do it, and then as I had posted the NASCAR video, I'm like, well, nobody's going to see the NASCAR video then, or vice versa. So I'm like, well, I'm going to make the choice and separate them, because packing videos in, is interesting. And that's, I guess, some of the thing that's been going through my head, because I periodically think about, like I said, I'm not on this kick of, ooh, I need to, I want to be some YouTube phenom that has millions of followers or something, which I think is impossible in the gaming space unless you're just so insane. Because I know some of I forget who they are, but there's the Squad or something like that. I think they're in the millions, but that's multiple people on the channel. They're doing a bunch of stuff. They're very animated. Again, not my cup of tea. So, I'm not going to get there. But even hundreds of thousands, let's say. But it would be nice. Like I said, I would be, kind of in. Ooh, that got tight. In the back of my mind, it's kind of I feel at some point 10,000 is achievable. And I'm saying that where I haven't even hit 2 yet. And for a long time it was am I even going to hit the 1,000? I need to be monetized, which I did, but it took much, much longer than one would think before you start kind of doing this as a content creator, and then just realize how much of a slow trickle it is to get folks. And again, I did, it looked like one of the Tower Simulator Tower companion videos got a little bit of traction and got over 100 views, which hasn't happened on any of those videos yet. So maybe it got picked up by the algorithm a little bit, given that, I now had 15 episodes or something. It's like, oh, there's a lot going on here with this. Let's put it out there and see if there's more folks. But that did kind of up my subscriptions by like 10 in a couple days, which is a lot. A lot of times I'm getting like 1 or 2 every 48 hours or whatever it is. So, well, not 48 hours, I think it might be. I don't remember what the algorithm is now, or what the indicator, the metric is. No, it might be every 28 days, I think, where it's like, I've been averaging like 4 or 5. So you can imagine at that pace how long things take. So, maybe in 20 years I'll have 10,000 viewers if I'm still around doing it at that point. Because frankly, I'm of the age, I would like to think I still will live 20 years, but not up to me. So, God will decide when it's time. So, anyway, okay. Well, now that we're 65, I should be able to stay up there, because I was struggling to even go 60, but that's some of the issue. And again, now that we're out in the plains, we're going to have less abrupt turns, usually. But anyway, what I was getting at, or just thinking about recently, is it's just amazing, like some of the channels I watch, and I can't say they're like substantially more interesting or substantially different in how they put things together, but it's funny that some are a few thousand like me, and then there's others that are in the tens of thousands, and there's nothing I can really discern between those of like, oh, the ones that are 10,000 are clearly are doing, have this, and I see why they're so large. So I still kind of feel a lot of this is luck. Just getting viral with something, and then suddenly you get enough people, and I'm sure there's some point where you have enough traction where just people will come in and be like, ooh, there's 15,000 subscribers here. This is a channel I should subscribe to. I think there's just some momentum that happens, but what that point is, I couldn't tell you. I'm not there yet, and may never be. But yeah, but that does kind of lead into a little bit of the discussion, I guess, that I was planning on having at some point. 18,800, and is that how many episodes across the Star Trek universe there are? 18,876? That's crazy if you think about it. I mean, some series getting to a couple hundred episodes is a massive achievement. And I get there's like 20 or 30 spin-offs, but still, even if you divide that, let's say among 30, I think that's still 600 episodes, which would be huge, but they do go on and on and on, so I suppose it's possible. And maybe some episodes had multiple voyages. I don't know. I'm more of a Star Wars fan. I like original Star Trek, but I've never really gotten pulled into anything beyond that. And I can't tell you the last time I watched an original Star Trek episode. I used to watch them just because, hey, they're on TV and whatever, but... So... Alright. Let me look in case it's going to have me do... Oh, wait a minute. Do I have to turn right here? Oh, geez. Seriously? Okay. Let's talking. Oh, well, I guess. Wait, I can't. Okay. Oh, I have to turn right up there. Alright, well, going out to the map got rid of all the traffic. Okay.
Keep right.
Not used
And
to
then
that
turn
happening,
right.
but... Alright, so, okay. So we're on
Turn
25
right.
south for a hot minute, and then we get off at the next exit. That's funny. But yeah, it's just been more in my head because of kind of what I started with, where if the channel was a little more
Right.
self-sustaining
And then exit
because it was
right.
generating more income, then I wouldn't
Exit right.
necessarily need to look at, you know, things not continuing as they had been. But you know, I've certainly spent hundreds this year on various things, and I don't think I can keep up that pace and be responsible. So obviously not going to put us in jeopardy for a channel that I do for fun. But the thing I was going to talk about is, yeah, there was, I think it was Listerio. It was in the flight sim community, kind of put out a video that was interesting because there were several of those larger channels that felt compelled to respond to it directly. And some of it was basically how in the flight sim community specifically, but it really is just across the YouTube space, it can be applied anywhere, is that the large channels, you know, if we were using a term of my generation when people were doing things, they in essence were being accused of selling out and not being true to the community anymore, but doing what they needed to do to get to continue to bring in funding and get sponsorships and not get blacklisted in essence by developers by being critical of shoddy product or just really poor stuff. And if anybody's watched my thing, like, I will tell you if something is terrible, because I have no sponsorships, and even if I did, I mean, that's the thing. And the argument with these guys is, you know, it doesn't make as much money as you think, and that without it, you know, but the claim, I guess, I struggle with, and again, maybe that's why they're big and I'm small, and you know, he's not wrong, but I guess I'm not interested in it. But I also think it might be a false narrative they're telling themselves. Is, you know, A330 driver did something about, if I don't have new airports or new equipment, like every couple videos, people will stop watching. And I think that sells them, you know, themselves short of, people will follow you if they're just interested in your style and what you do and what you're doing. Just like you become friends with people, like they just like your personality, they like how you present things. I certainly feel that I have folks like that on this channel as subscribers. They comment very actively. They, you know, we really kind of engage in more conversation than just, hey, I liked your video, oh, thank you. You know, and they've hung around for months or years, like, and I'm not necessarily doing that or changing things as much. Now, yes, if someone is, you know, if you have a subscriber who's like, oh yes, I like this channel because they always introduce me to the new things, I get that. But, you know, so they were talking about how, like, well, we need to accept product for free because otherwise we couldn't meet the demands of the community. So thinking that that's a bad thing is just unfair. You know, and then they're making the claim, which again we all get to weigh, of, but, you know, if I don't like something, I still would tell you. But I do understand what Listerio is saying, and, you know, part of what he brought up is what he's doing is, like, he's just passionate about what he's doing, and it's the same thing. Like, I would not be slogging through, like, if I hated this, like, if it was like, oh my god, this is boring, I don't like driving trucks around, it's just, the same thing over and over and over and over again, or the like farm sim, and yes, there will be farm sim content. It's just definitely fallen off the channel a lot, because I'm not doing things that frequently, so I do things offline, and again, it takes a while to get enough to really have a whole episode, so, they are few and far between. But the point in this discussion is the farm sim stuff is very repetitive. I mean, we talk about it. I talk about it a lot in the videos, especially for the online communities. It's like I planted the same thing every year for 20 years on my farm there. And that was like, 2 years in real time or whatever. But people were still watching, and people would come, and it was because I enjoyed it. And so that's the thing. Like, I do this. I mean, it's a perk. It's a bonus to get a little bit of money every 4 or 5 months. That it's like, ooh, I can now cover the cost of an airport or two for Tower Sim with what I made from the channel. But literally, that's, just being completely upfront. If I get paid out the $100 minimum that YouTube has, in 4 months, that's good for me. So basically, I'm getting about $300 a year off of the channel the way it's operating at this point. I'm basically earning about $30, $25 to $30 a month off of the ad revenue of whatever's happening. And the thing that's fascinating to me is I thought for sure, given the amount of content, the fact that I have a video or two every day and have for years, that people would kind of notice that, and that somehow there would be groups that would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to subscribe just because there's always something, and yeah, maybe I'll watch 2 or 3 videos. So I thought my subscriber count would be higher because of that, frankly. And, I know I'm not, because I just don't have the skill set to do the production quality and stuff like a farm sim guy does, where, he does these 3-minute intro videos that he puts together. I mean, I've done a little bit of that, but I don't know that I'm not just repeating or, in essence, mimicking what those folks are doing, because I'm not in that I don't have that creative mindset, and again, Farm Sim Guy has said somewhere, I've heard that, like, yes, he used to be like in production, that was his job at some point, and maybe still is, but so he has a lot more involvement in that type of field and so forth. So I get some things like that, but again, like, Daggerwin, which was probably someone that I used as a model in some of my process as I worked on farm sim videos. He removes a lot of content. He jump cuts a lot and does things. Sometimes puts in a little bit of high-speed time lapse and whatever. And I've done that. But it's not like I've seen those videos skyrocket or something. So there's still something about how people find you and what attaches them to you. And I've joked in those cases, like both of those guys, I just need to pretend I'm British or Australian. Like, it seems that's what brings people in. That's the commonality I see. A330 driver, yes, he's German. He doesn't have the British accent, but he's still. I didn't realize I was set at 45. I'm like, I know I'm on cruise, but so it's like, yeah, unless you have a foreign accent,
Go straight.
you don't become popular unless you're crazy, like the Squad or something like that. But because even on the golf side, like, I've watched a little bit of Apex Hound recently, and again, I mean, he plays, but he's like so overly excited to me. Like, that's just not me to be like, oh my god, oh, you know, I mean, yeah, I get upset and I'll make a comment here or there, but I don't like
Keep
start
left.
screaming
And
at the
then
screen
turn
like
left.
he does. So I don't know. So maybe I just don't have what it's ever gonna take to
Turn
get
left.
really big, and in the end, you know, it doesn't matter, but it does have a real impact to some degree if, you know, my
Turn
funds are
left.
much more limited, and you know, something new is coming out, and people are like, "Oh, get this or get that." You know, and flight sim is definitely a sucker of funds. You know,
Go straight.
I'm looking at that 777 freighter. You know, it's $80 again, like everything PMDG does, and it's like, yeah, it'd be fun, but do I need it? No. I have the 777-300, but
You
like
have
there's
arrived at your destination.
a tour on Walker that they introduced because of that plane. And okay, so it's there. So we're gonna have to do a blind backup again because we have no choice. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So let's see. All right. So hopefully I can see. The problem is like now, like I have no idea if I'm headed toward, because I got to get past that truck. So I probably need to straighten out at this point, and then I'm using my mouse to move my what I'm looking at, and that's not accurate. Because that's the thing, you won't even see it here, but yeah, I need to go back straight for a bit and then cut really sharp. Alright, let's get out and look again. So I do apologize, this will take a bit of time. But see, I gotta get around that truck and between that dumpster. So I think I'm still okay. But, oops, we're getting a little jittery here. Alright, so now I think I want to cut. Let me make sure. Still got to be a little careful. But yes, I absolutely have to be cutting or I'm not going to make it. So maybe I don't straighten it out per se, but I don't cut as sharp yet. Now I think, see, now I've like triggered the gate, which isn't good. See, now I'm worried I went too far, but maybe not. We're gonna give it a try. So now I'm gonna fully turn and fully cut, because it'll go pretty fast, as you can see. Alright, so let's see. Am I on target? Not really. Alright, so let me fix it. If there's one thing I've learned from a couple people who told me on the channel that they were real truckers, they're like, yeah, don't try to turn a terrible situation into a good one. It just doesn't work. Like if you see you're stuck, pull forward and start again and realign, because it's just you're not going to recover. It's just not how it works when you're super long. I think I'm doing fine for cutting. I think we'll clear the dumpster because this isn't going to move back as much. Alright, and then now we'll go out this way. If we're not clearing the dumpster, I think we would have hit it. Yep, we would have hit it. So yeah, this is good. It's just I may be too far the other way, but this now at least positions me where I should be fine. So I'll just keep swinging this out. Again, no reason to rush. We're doing a lot of weight. Alright. Now I'm dragging the front of my truck. Alright, but I do want to I do want to get this there and then maybe pull. Oh, what did I hit? What did I hit? Trailer damage. Oh, I see. I did not realize I really hit the building. I hit the dock. Okay. Because I'm like, I need to kind of straighten out and then reposition it. But now at least I'm here, and I should be able to now kind of do what I need. Come on. Funny camera. Like, my head was entirely turned 90 degrees, and it was looking forward. Alright. Okay. So now we're just, again, kind of idling and letting it go back. And, you know, this is how you do a truck responsibly instead of being crazy trained. Yeah, the one that's challenging is Star Trucker. It's intriguing enough that I'm interested, but it is a slog to make progress in that thing. Alright, stop the engine. Unload the trailer. So we have made it. We're under an hour, so that's always kind of the goal. 30 minutes to an hour seems to be what people like in these truck videos. I did have, I'm going to thank Armpit Studios. They did make a comment somewhere. Like, YouTube's finally starting to show me a little bit of things where sometimes I miss repeat comments for something. But they don't necessarily need any further comment. But I saw that they did respond at one point in one of my videos of, hey, for those of us who don't have the game, like, we always see something new. So whether you have really long videos or just a bunch of videos, doesn't really matter. Like, it's just, if we're interested, we'll watch. But I know he picked up the game, so he falls out of that demographic now, where maybe he's not that interested in something super long. And I'm not necessarily looking to go back to 4-hour runs and whatever, just because it takes a lot of time, and my 4-hour things tend to be in Flight Simulator now more than they are in Truck Simulator. But anyway, here we are, 7,900, 816 XP, and coming up on 300,000. Obviously, we'll have our folks do some things. If I go to the map, just so we get some visuals of where we're at. All right, we're heading to Missouri. I don't know why I'm thinking that's Missouri, and you know, all the discovered parts should tell me. So that was part of why I didn't want to drop down either. And yes, we don't have Iowa yet, but basically Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana, and now South Dakota are the states that are being worked on, just so you're aware of. You know, yeah, there was a comment that someone said, oh, it's a shame the eastern half is where all the trucking is. And I couldn't help but respond like, you do understand, like, it's a game, you can pick up loads anywhere. Like, just because in real life there's more loads out here, like, that's the benefit of Truck Simulator. Like, there's loads, just like we're finding. They may not be exactly all the loads you want or whatever, but I don't know that there's going to be anything in the game engine that's that substantially different. But yeah, it's kind of nuts, because at this point I can almost see the coast, even though, you know, so like you can see, we're like 2/3 of the way across once we're hitting the Mississippi River here. But yeah, we'll get Illinois. I'm thinking that may not appear till 2027, but we'll see. Because there's certainly some complexity there, and I'm pretty sure like Louisiana and stuff were announced. Maybe it was in 2023, but typically takes 18 months to 2 years from the announcement time till we actually see the state. But it is interesting, because when I go back, like, the week I started playing the game, Colorado came out, and like all this stuff has been added, including Montana above it. Idaho, I think, was already there. And yeah, I think I've been playing since 2021. So it's been 4 years, and so basically it took 4 years to do all this. So that kind of gives you that idea. You know, we're probably looking at another decade at the pace things normally go before we have any possibility of really finishing up the US. I don't know. Because that was the other thing. People are like, what about Canada? What about Mexico? And they're arguing, it's not saying United States Simulator, it's saying American. And I get it, but I think everyone understands, like, the intent is to finish the contiguous 48, and then figure out if it's still super popular what you're doing. And yes, we're definitely getting to states, I mean, where I've lived, here, here, here. So that, and I don't have any of those, but I'm not complaining yet. And I visited a lot more, but I enjoy just driving regardless of where we're going. So in any event, that's the updates, that's the news, that's a little bit of the change. So just in summary, again, if the 4-day window for Truck Simulator coincides with the Saturday, it's going to be skipped going into the future until, if and when I change my mind on it again. I need to balance what's reasonable without just recording things for, because again, if I put low quality stuff out there, like super low quality stuff, that's not going to help with any channel growth or anything. And I'm not streaming. I haven't seen, it's not like people are asking for it. I know folks do kind of that stream of consciousness. I mean, I was just watching something with Two Tone Murphy the other day where he was just trying out on air, which I've done on the channel, and he had over a 5-hour stream about it. I've gotten about an hour, almost 2 hours in, and he's finally finished the first flight. Like, the first hour of it was just chatting about the stuff. So, maybe people like that. And again, he got 1,800 views, but he's also got, I think 17,000 subscribers. So, that's 1%, I guess 10% of his subscribers, like, at least watch some of it. But, I think until you get to that size, I don't know that streaming does a lot, because I think I've had 1 or 2 people pop into any streams I've ever done, and they're a lot more work than just recording a video and editing it and putting it out there. And I also feel like if I suddenly just start rambling about something, or something blows up, like I can cut it out, where if I start having problems in a stream, I mean, I can still edit it later and cut it out, but it's just more challenging. And it's just harder, frankly, because I'm working and I've got to focus on that and only do this when I have a break here or there. I can't commit to a stream schedule is the reality. And I think that's what the community likes is, hey, you're going to be on every time, this time, doing this. I can't really do that. So anyway, so feel free to comment on any of the ramblings that were going on. But yeah, looking forward to things expanding. And like I said, I mean, it's going to be Louisiana or Iowa, obviously, that's going to drop next. I just think there's more coming out about Louisiana. Like, it seems more frequent. And I also think that was the one that was announced earlier. Now, my hope is, let's just go back to the map in case you're not familiar with the U.S. I want them to come back and then do North Dakota next. Like, I don't want the Louisiana team to go on to Mississippi. I had to think for a bit. I think I'm right. Like, these 2 states always confuse me. It's Mississippi and Alabama, but I'm pretty sure this is Alabama and this is Mississippi because it's on the Mississippi. So that would make sense, right? And I get, okay, yeah, you're not like really going too far out and you're kind of still in line with Illinois. I mean, it'll be what it'll be. But to me, they might be chasing their tail for a while if they continue to let this team just keep going. And then they're trying to do North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. And then you're finally like, have cleared out the top. I mean, the reality is, yes, the U.S. and it won't let us scroll because it kind of only lets you get so far with where the real maps are. Obviously the north-south width of the country does shrink a little bit. I mean, yes, we got Florida hanging down here that kind of makes it go down as well, but Texas did that here, and we went all the way up to North Dakota. So, like, it does get a little shallower, and so the argument is, well, even if it takes them a little longer, then these guys, kind of get to jump east quickly because, like, if they're at this level, like, do they just jump right to New York? And New York's pretty wide and, gets you to the Atlantic anyway. So, or Pennsylvania or whatever. And, the Illinois team's doing Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I'm sure they've thought this out, but but obviously there's an Iowa team and an Illinois team. So like when Iowa gets finished, they got to go somewhere. And again, they could go to North Dakota, and the argument is these guys go to Mississippi. I don't know, but I would like to see like the next state get announced is North Dakota, just to again kind of keep squaring things off and not get too off and ahead of your skis in anything. Because even when they announced Louisiana, people were already expressing some concern, like, why are we not? That's why there has been so much in the community about why are we not going up to the Dakotas, because they have been ignored for a while. I mean, they announced Louisiana, they announced Arkansas, they announced Missouri, and again, they've delivered Arkansas and Missouri already, and Iowa, and it's like, what are they doing with the Dakotas? Like, they're falling way behind. And I'm sure there's some logic, and I get, they did Illinois so that they can do Route 66, and people who want to drive that older route have it. And there's some of those things, like there's I think it's the Trans-Canadian Highway across, and I forget what the north-south one is, but a lot of the walker tours, they're following a roadway that's a long roadway through mainly different parts of North America. So those were some of the new tours. They introduced like 3 or 4 of those. So that's pretty cool. But we'll see. So that's the thing. Like, as far as source of content, Flight Sim hands down is going to be where I can get a lot more stuff, because there's just so many different versions to go at it. There's Tower Simulator 3, there's the Flight Sim thing, potentially some of the other smaller things I'm play with, like Endless ATC and Mini Airways and stuff like that. But you got all the virtual airlines, you've got all the walker tours, you've got all those things that kind of give you a storyline of some sort that you can follow. Here it's just job to job to job. It's a little more challenging, but I enjoy just driving and seeing things and having the challenge of delivering. So no plans to have this go anywhere, but and part of why I guess it's survived and you see more of it than you see of Farm Sim is not necessarily that I'm more interested in this than Farm Sim. That's not true. There's just a lot more involved in trying to get something together on the Farm Sim side. So where the trucking thing, I do what I did here, and there, other than cutting out parts where I there was nothing happening or I was getting something ready, that's all that's required to edit these. Like I can record and edit and publish the truck simulator videos super fast. Lightning fast. The difference between traveling on foot and traveling via the Concorde is probably not kidding. It takes 10-20 hours of work in Farm Sim to get a half hour or an hour long video on the hills of Tuscany together, just because I have to let the fields grow. I have to go through doing all the stuff on the fields, and everything's moving at 6 miles an hour. It takes a long time. That's not the case with something like this. But anyway, this has been a long, rambling back end to this. But for those who were interested, thanks for hanging around and listening. Again, comment on anything you hear. I'm always happy to chat about whatever. So, with that, as always, if you've enjoyed this but have not liked or subscribed, please consider those things. And I will see you next time.